Hi, this is Mike Lee, Assistant Principal at the Winnetka campus. This video tutorial will help you navigate through your student schedule using our new block schedule with Trevian days. When reading a student schedule, we recommend that you keep a copy of the Bell schedule for your reference. Right? Earlier this summer, we shared with families that New Trier is moving to a modified block schedule this fall. The slide here shows the Trevian blue and green modified block schedule at the Winnetka campus, beginning school at 8:10 a.m. and end school at 3:35 p.m. The next slide will show our Northfield schedule. As you can see, the new block schedule consists of a Trevian day, which usually will occur on Mondays for all classes 1 through 9 in a student schedule. Please note that on Trevian days, early bird classes will not meet. On blue days, which usually occurs on Tuesdays and Thursdays, will consist of blocks early bird 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. On green days, which typically will meet on Wednesdays and Fridays, it will consist of early bird, blocks 6, 7, 8, and 9. Departments will also post X block office hours for students to access. There will be days when students will be asked to remain on campus for an X block for specific student programming. If there is no programming during X block, students may go home. With the exception to embedded lunch blocks, each block consists of 70 minutes on blue and green days. On Trevian days, each block consists of 35 minutes. As you can see, on blue and green days, blocks are divided into two 35-minute subblocks A and B. These subblocks are used to accommodate our 35-minute science extended lab hours, along with our 35-minute resource seminar classes. This slide shows our modified block schedule at our Northfield campus. It shows that school begins at 7:50 a.m. and ends school at 3:15 p.m. At Northfield campus, there are no early bird classes, and classes all begin 20 minutes earlier than the Winnetka campus. Yep. In the next several slides, I will review examples of student schedules, but first I want to explain lunch. Students will be assigned one lunch period every day. On a Trevian day, lunch will be assigned during block 5. Students will have lunch either 5A, 5B, or 5C. On a blue day, lunch will be assigned during block 3. Students will have lunch either on 3A, 3B, or 3C. On a green day, lunch will be assigned during block 8, and students will have lunch either during 8A, 8B, or 8C. After logging into PowerSchool, you will have the option to see a student's schedule using multiple views listed on the navigation bar located on the left side. When clicking on My Schedule, it will show a student's schedule for the current week, along with the time, room number, course, and teacher. When viewing the 2021 year schedule, you will see the schedule in a list format that includes the term, course expression, course number, name, teacher, and room number. The examples that will follow will be using the list view to explain a student schedule. This slide, we will focus on a student schedule during Trevian Day using the list view. First of all, some of the tips that we want to share with you is that you look for TD, which stands for Trevian Day. Do not worry about A or B on Trevian days, with the exception of class 5. So starting with advisory, the student during advisory will have Mr. Kaifesh, which is located on the bottom. And then as we move up to the top, we look for TD, and notice that during block 1, the student will have astronomy on Trevian Day. During block 2, this student will have free because we do not see a TD located next to block 2. During block 3, we ignore the lunch block for now because we do not see the TD. We do see the TD located for glass art, so during block 3, this student will have glass art. And then moving on to block 4, the student will have Spanish 5. And now for the lunch block 5. The very first thing you want to see is, when does the student have lunch? The student has lunch during 5B as indicated with the TD. So this student will have lunch from 11:45 to 12:20. The student then will also have literature and film during 5A on a Trevian day. And then because you do not see anything listed for 5C, this student has a free period during the Trevian day 5C time slot. We also do not see a block 6 located in the schedule, so this student also has block 6 free on Trevian days. During block 7, the student will have college algebra trig, and then we'll move on to Chicago history during block 8. And this student will end the day with KW strength and conditioning during block 9 on Trevian day. Okay, this slide we're going to take you through a student's blue day. This is the same student schedule, but now focused on a blue day. This student does not have early bird, and once again has Mr. Kaife's during advisory block. So we move up to the top and notice that this student will have astronomy. And during the blue days, we want to focus on the A's and B's because we're talking about a 70-minute block as opposed to our Trevian day. During block 1A and 1B, the student will have astronomy. And then we'll have the extended science lab time during block 2A as indicated in the schedule. Because 2B is not listed, we know that the student will have 2B free. The next part is our lunch block during block 3. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to look, where is this student having lunch? And we see that this lunch block is during 3A, so we look for 3A and we ignore the 3B, 3C lunch blocks. The student will have lunch during 3A, followed by glass art during 3B and 3C. Following glass art, we move to block 4, 4A and 4B, which the student will have Spanish 5. Following Spanish 5, the student will end their day during block 5A and 5B in literature and film. Yep. And now we will focus on the student's green day. The student once again does not have an early bird class and will start their day during advisory with Mr. Kaifesh. The student does not have anything listed for 6A or 6B and therefore will have this block free. The student will have college algebra and trig during block 7A and 7B. And now for the lunch block 8. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to look, where does this student have lunch? As the schedule indicates, the student will have lunch during 8B. So therefore, we ignore the lunch block 8A and 8C as indicated by the X's. So during 8B, the student will have lunch, but we'll have Chicago history during 8A. Then we'll go to lunch, and then we'll come back to Chicago history during 8C. The student then will have KW strength and conditioning class during block 9A and 9B. and will be able to go home during the X block as long as there is no student programming assigned during that day. Now we're going to take a look at a different student schedule, one who has support services as indicated by the resource seminar classes. We're going to focus on Trevian Day, in which we're going to take a look at the classes with TDs and ignore the A's and the B's until we get to the lunch block 5. So the student's going to start their day during advisory with Mr. Nashin. Then we're going to take a look at on the top and see that the student will be in block 1 with economics, followed by a resource period during block 2. Then we're going to ignore the lunch block because there's no TDs there, because third block does not have a lunch during the Trevian Day. So during third block, the student will attend Spanish 4 during third. And then when we look at AP Environmental Science, there's a lot of numbers there. But when we look at block 4, we do not see a TD during block 4. Therefore, on Trevian Day, this student has fourth block free. So now we take a look at block 5. The first thing we want to do is find when does a student have lunch. And we see that during block 5C, the student has lunch during Trevian Day. And then when we look at environmental science, we see that 5A, the student will have free because there is no Trevian Day under 5A, but there is a TD located next to 5B. So during 5B, the student will have an AP Environmental Science. During block 6, the student will have Senior Writer Seminar. Block 7, the student will have KW Team Block, followed by College Algebra Trig during block 8. And once again, we can ignore the lunch block during 8C because there is no lunch on block 8 during Trevian Day and there is no TD there. The student will end the Trevian Day during 9th block with advanced media production. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the blue days. So because it's a blue day, we are going to focus also on the A's and the B's. And we once again start with advisory with Mr. Nashin. This student does not have an early bird class. And they have 1A and 1B in economics. And then for second block, again, we're going to focus on the A's and the B's, and therefore the student will have resource during 2B. The student will not have class during 2A because that is only on a Trevian Day. So for the third block, we want to take a look at when does a student have lunch. And we see that the student will have lunch during 3A. So we can ignore the 3B and the 3C lunch blocks. So this student will have lunch during 3A, followed by Spanish during 3B and 3C. During fourth block, we see that the student has AP Environmental during 4B, but because 4A is not listed, the student will have 4A free. We'll go to Environmental Lab during 4B, followed by AP Environmental during both 5A and 5B. Now we're going to take a look at students' Green Day. Once again, the student does not have early bird class and will start their day in Mr. Nashin's advisory. We see that during 6A and 6B, the student will have Senior Writer Seminar, followed by KW during 7A and 7B. For the 8th block, once again, we take a look at the lunch block. We see that the student has lunch during 8C, and therefore we can ignore the 8A and the 8B lunch blocks indicated by the black X. So the student will have college algebra trig during 8A and 8B, followed by lunch block 8C. The last block of the day, the student will have advanced media production during 9A and 9B, and will be able to go home during the X block as long as there is not a student program assigned during that day.